Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple, book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. We are in Ezekiel chapter 28. Now, in the last study, we talked about the ruler of Tyre and God's prophecy against the prideful ruler. And then we also talked about who was behind, who was driving the ruler, which was his spiritual father, Satan. And remember, Jesus said that the ruler of the world has nothing in me. So in this, as we get into now verse 11, the thought shifts to, again, the ruler behind, the king behind the ruler. And so we can see the spiritual, corrupt, sinful father and son relationship, right? This is why the ruler says, I'm a God. Look at my wealth. Look at all my trading commerce has made me wise and all that. The pride in that. Well, we're going to see that the same with Satan or Lucifer or the devil. Now, before I read this, let me okay. Where do I want to go? Oh, Ephesians. I want to go to Ephesians chapter 6. Paul had a lot to say about this, but let's take a look. Ephesians chapter 6. What I'll do is stop off in chapter 2. We dealt with this last time, but I think it's good that we would read it now. So verse 2 says, in which he previously walked according to the ways of this world, according to the ruler who exercised authority over the lower heavens, the spirit now working in the disobedient. Okay? So with that, let's go also to chapter 6. In chapter 6, in verse 10, he says, finally be strengthened by the Lord and his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the world powers of this darkness, against spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. Okay, so notice Paul mentions a structure. Okay, and I'll read again what we read last time in John. Jesus himself, in John 14, and I should have memorized this now. Because I read it just yesterday. Here we go, verse 30. Like I say, shame on me. I should have. I mean, from y'all's standpoint, I'm taping this all at the same time. So, anyway, verse 30 says, I will not talk with you much longer because the ruler of this world is coming and he has no power over me. Now, he said it a couple of times, but in this night, but notice that the ruler of this world. So what we see here is when Adam fell, when Adam sinned, there was a Satan who was behind it. We see that Satan now is the spiritual ruler. He's corralling the way the world works, the direction of the world comes from Satan. But so here's God's rebuke. So remember, you saw in the city of Tyre how their pride, the city, God rebuked the city for its pride, and now we saw the ruler and the pride. So now in verse 11 it says, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, lament for the king of Tyre and say to him, this is what the Lord God says. So now you're going to see a shift in thought right here. When he addresses the ruler, now he's going to address the king. The pride of the ruler, even though his pride said, I'm God, but you saw the earthly focus. Notice the difference in this king here. This is what the Lord God says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every kind of precious stone covered you. Cornelian, topaz, diamond, beryl, onyx, jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald. Your mountains and settings were crafted in gold. They were prepared on the day you were created. Now, the difference between the king here and the ruler, remember the ruler was born. Notice he said, here you were created. He says, you were an anointed guardian cherub. Now, cherubs are a certain rank. Now, when we talk about heavenly creatures, oftentimes we lump every heavenly creature as angels. Angels are only but one heavenly type of heavenly creatures. And so whenever you see angels, the word angels is translated messengers. So whenever you see, and excuse me, that's when you see when angels show up, excuse me, primarily they are delivering a message. Okay, they're delivering a message. Now, the other kinds of, like another classification of an angel, or where like Michael is called an archangel, he is a defender, a guardian of Israel, Michael specifically. Now, there may be other guardian angels, but Michael is a guardian angel. So when you see him and it's always in reference to Israel, guarding Israel. Then you see another kind of earthly creature that is found in Isaiah chapter 6, Revelations chapters 4 and 5, Ezekiel, as we saw here, Ezekiel's chapters 1 through 4, where these creatures had 6 wings, 4 different faces, right? Eyes in and out. In Ezekiel's description, how they moved with such preciseness. There were the wheels involved in the wheels, kind of a fiery flame of wheel. And of course, this would be, if we was to actually see this, we would be in total awe of it. The quickness in which they move, the preciseness in which they move. Then they had 6 wings. Isaiah and the Revelation says they cry out, holy, holy, holy. And I believe in one respect they're called seraphims. And then the highest order of heavenly beings seem to be cherub or cherubim. And notice, so Satan was the highest of the cherubims. And you can see he was probably the greatest of the angels that God had created. And it should be noted that God says, I created you. You did not achieve that status on your own. In other words, you think about certain men who achieve greatness. And you can say that they achieve it because whether it's through education, whether it's through wisdom of business, right? I mean, let's just think about the richest man on the planet that, what he was able to do with Amazon, right? A simple thought, but yet that thought was able to turn into one of the greatest businesses it is the greatest business on the planet, right? And, but Satan was created, and yet he had his pride. Let me kind of do this. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. I believe I'm going to know where I'm going to go at this time. Isaiah chapter 14. So I want to read this again, and verse 12 says, shining morning star. Now, a quick word about this, because I believe in the King James, it says Lucifer. So let me take a quick look here. I think in it says Lucifer. Okay, I'm in the King James here. Let's take a look. Verse 12. And here's how the King James read. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? So the reason why I want to compare, because some will contest that the word Lucifer is not necessarily its title. Okay, that the word Lucifer, the name Lucifer itself. And so I read the Holman Christian Standard Bible, so you can see from that description there that that it's not, that they don't mention that. Okay, they don't mention that in there. Let me see. So that's the King James, what I'm reading. The NIV will say the same. It says, how have you fallen from heaven? I don't like the NIV anyway, but anyway, it just happened to come up. The New King James, how have you fallen? Okay, New King James stays true to the King James. American Standard Version says, how are you fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the morning? Let's see, American Standard, verse 12. And then it says, how are you fallen from heaven, O day star? Okay, son of the morning. Okay. And then, of course, my favorite translation, the Holman Christian Standard Bible. Nothing, to me, nothing major to argue over. It's just, some people may say, why haven't we see the name Lucifer in the more modern translations? Now, the King James and the New King James, they put it in there. That's a scholarly debate, which I won't engage because I'm not a scholar. And in order to intelligently be able to tell you, I can only relate to you why it is not in the Bible. Let me see if I can let me see if I can find a quick reason for you. Let's see if I can find a quick name why Lucifer is not used. Now, we use it, of course, in let's see here. I'll use gotquestions.org, which is kind of our closest thing to a Christian. Quick things here. I can't find it though. Here we go. So it says, in common use, Lucifer is another name for Satan. Famously, John wrote a name. I want to use that to say a character referred to as Lucifer appears in John 14. So it's not telling me why the King James used Lucifer. Now remember, the term Lucifer itself means day star. So that's kind of, it's just probably another English translation of day star. Let me see if I can get a better definition of this. So in one respect, it said Lucifer usually identified with Satan the name Lucifer, which means bearer of light or morning star, referred to his former splendor as the greatest of the angels. So I guess the idea of shining morning star, okay, that instead of saying Lucifer, the King James said Lucifer, so morning star is a translation of, or Lucifer is the translation of morning star. So the name Lucifer itself means morning star. I was trying to look for why a lot of modern translations did not translate like the Home Christian Standard. So shining morning star. So my guess would be they would be a better, okay, a better translation. Okay. And that's subjective, of course, that's subjective. It's not important, let me just say this, it's not important if we recognize or know the name of Satan, okay, but Lucifer, of course, historically will be the most recognized name. So Lucifer is usually tied to a name before his fall. Okay, now that's not what is being conveyed here. Okay, that is not what's being conveyed here. But it does show whether we use the term Lucifer. Now let me show, excuse me. Let me show you some other terms. Let me show you some other terms. Uh, oh, okay. Let me do this. I'm gonna use some other. I'm gonna quickly use some other terms. Uh, let's say 12. So this is where are they? Okay. In chapter 12, Revelation chapter 12. So it says, so the great dragon, so Satan, is known as, watch this, the great dragon was thrown out, the ancient serpent. Interesting, right? The ancient serpent. So where did we see that? We first see this term serpent in the Garden of Eden. Then it says who is called the devil and Satan. Different word. The one who deceives the whole world. Okay. So that's kind of what he's known for. He deceives the whole world. Satan, the serpent. Let me get back to, let me read Isaiah chapter 14. So I wanted to spend a little time because we don't spend sometimes this time as where we talk about Satan, why we call him Satan, why is he called Lucifer? But listen to what he says right here. Shining star, shining morning star, you can say, Lucifer, how have you fallen from the heavens, you destroyer of the nations? You have been cut down to the ground. You have said to yourself, I will ascend to the heavens. I will set up my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of the God of the assembly. In the remotest parts of the north, I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. So as you can see here, when he says the word of the Lord came to me, son of man, lament over Tyre, the king of Tyre, and say to him, this is what the Lord God says, you were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Now, of course, I'm going to pick it up in the next study here, because who is Satan, right? When we say Satan, you could say, is he a mythical figure? He's very much not a mythical figure, but there's a lot of mystery surrounding him. All right, we'll pick it up in the next video. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, added to the comment section below. All comments are welcome, and I will see you in the next study.